Do you find yourself feeling anxious and dissatisfied even when you're winning? When you're getting all the things a previous version of you wanted? This week, I'm sharing a simple yet powerful reframe that's changed my life and is landing deeply with my clients. We're going to be exploring the difference between being successful and feeling successful, and why tapping into that feeling state of desires can change everything. Welcome to Too Much, Not Enough, the podcast helping 6- and 7-figure female leaders understand how chasing success is causing low self-worth and anxiety, and how awakening your divine feminine energy will reignite flow, abundance, and ease, making you feel excited about life again. I'm your host, Hannah O'Donovan, channel and activator of the untamed divine feminine. Let's get into it. In this episode, you'll discover why chasing outcomes alone can leave women, especially high-achieving women, feeling stuck or dissatisfied, how to uncover the feeling-based desires beneath your goals and why they matter more than you think, and a practical reframe to help you feel successful now and attract the outcomes that align with that energy. So I had a client reflect something back to me recently that really stuck. She said that a simple reframe I shared with her lifted such a weight off of her shoulders. So she's in the middle of a big, beautiful, but kind of scary life transition, thanks to the work that we've done together. And she's re-examining what she truly desires in life. But if you have been through a major realization, awakening, or life transition, you know that process at times can feel heavy. And for her, it had started to feel really heavy, like she was trying to get it right, as we often do. She was asking questions like, what do I want? What should I want? How do I get it? What if I don't know? Like, what are the next steps? It was feeling really pressurized until I reminded her of this. Desires aren't just about outcomes. Your success isn't simply about the things that come into your life. You can desire connection, freedom, ease, trust, pleasure, safety, self-belief, love, the list goes on. It doesn't have to be a tangible thing that you want. It can be a feeling. And this was something that I realized for myself, and it was a game changer. And so I figured if I realized it and it changed the game for me, and then this client was reflecting back that it was such a important shift for her, then it's likely that you might also need to hear this. So yes, we can certainly name the things we want when we are setting our goals or looking at what we want our future to be, when we are manifesting, when we are writing down that list of things that we want. Maybe it's more money in our bank account, an aligned partnership, a new role, certain milestone that we want to hit. All of this is completely valid. And please know that I am by no means saying that you shouldn't want things in your life. But when we shift from what we want to how we want to feel, it has a profound impact on how we experience our own success. And the beautiful thing is, when you start with the feeling state desires first, they often lead you to the more tangible outcomes anyway. But from a place of alignment, not pressure, not I should want this, not external influence, but instead, when we set up how we want to feel in our success, then it might shift what we actually want out of our success. So I'm going to give you an example of this. There have been many years as a business owner that I have sat down and listed out the goals that I want for the year, the things that I want to attain. And often for me, this has been how much money I would like to make by the end of the year. And I deeply believe in this practice. I am a pretty powerful manifester when I look back on it. And my silly little brain will often tell me that I am not good at manifesting, but I had this moment the other day when I like thought about the things that have come into my life and like how they've come into my life. And literally when I say things out loud, I talk to my spirit guides a lot. And when I say things out loud to them, they come. Not always the way I think they're going to come, but they come. And so one of the things that I do each year is I'll say out loud how much I want to make by the end of the year. And sometimes these are audacious numbers compared to like what I've made before or what my belief is that I can make. And for many years, I would simply just say like, what's the number that I want to meet? What opportunities, what types of clients do I want to call in? What projects do I want to be working on? How many followers do I want to gain on Instagram or on my email list, and so on and so forth. But I left out a very important part, because when you are focusing on the thing, the number, the outcome, it leaves out how you want to feel on the journey to and when you get that outcome. So I may say, I want to make $250,000 this year. But if I don't also think about how I want to feel in that success, then I could very easily make $250,000 this year, but I could fucking hate it. I could be drowning under the weight of my calendar and obligations. I could be miserable, not connected with my partner. I could be in a state of like activated, upregulated nervous system all the time and feel crap physically in my body and mentally and emotionally. I could get to the end of the year and realize that I have said yes to all these opportunities from the singular lens of wanting to make $250,000 and realize it might not be sustainable to continue that in future years because I absolutely like ran myself into the ground doing it. Or B, I actually don't even want the money anymore because I don't like what I'm doing or who I'm doing it with. And so a practice that I started bringing in to my goal setting, manifesting, whatever word resonates with you, is instead of just saying these tangible outcomes of like how much money I want to make, you know, how many followers, like what I want to focus on, I wrote a I feel successful when list. And this was such a game-changing moment for me as a female leader who has like big dreams and big ambitions and is constantly setting up goals and milestones for myself and often smashing those milestones. Like I go after what I want. And again, doesn't always come exactly how I thought it would, but it often comes. That is something that I am very proud to say. But when I actually sat down and did this I feel successful when list, it was such a shock because I realized that I was already actually hitting that success list. And it gave me this like real wake up call because there were parts of my day-to-day, parts of my business that I was like trying to put in place to reach some of these like things that I wanted that were overriding how I want to feel. And this is extra present for me in my life right now because here's the thing. When we decide that we want to make shifts or changes in our lives so that we can feel a certain way, so that we can be more present, so that we can feel more relaxed, in flow, connected to our intuition, whatever it is. It's not like a switch where you switch it to a position of feeling more present, let's say, and then that's just your reality moving forward. I feel like if you are a human being listening, then you know that we can be inconsistent in life, in our routines, in how we do and feel and experience things. And so it is not as simple as saying, okay, I'm switching to this thing that I want to feel or do or be now great, that's done. I will be like this forever. We are very cyclical in nature, especially as women. And so as I reflect back, as I look back on my almost 8 years now working for myself, I have gone through many cycles of different versions of how I worked and how I chased success. More recently, I was getting all these opportunities that I really, really wanted. So I was saying yes to everything because I was like, fuck, this is amazing. Like, I said that I wanted to do more aligned work, and look at all this incredible aligned work that's coming in. I was saying yes, and my schedule was getting a little bit messier than it normally is. I tend to have, because I am a projector in human design, I require a lot of rest throughout my day, not just like, oh, I'll go hard for a month and then take a weekend off. Like, I need blocks of time during my day to just do nothing. I need that in the evenings. I need that on the weekends. It needs to be interspersed. And so I had gotten to a point where I had really made sure that my calendar was spacious. And then all of a sudden, all these aligned opportunities came in, and my brain was like, well, these are aligned, so you got to say yes to them. And who cares if it fucks up your schedule? And it did just that. It fucked up my schedule. And I was working nights, weekends, and running myself into the ground. And I was very aware that this was happening, which is a good thing, because sometimes we're not aware at all until it's too late. But I was aware that this was happening. And I went back to my I feel successful when list and realized that, like, in the pursuit of some of the outcomes that I wanted in my business, I had completely overridden how I feel successful, which is going to be different than maybe how you feel successful or how the next person feels successful. And that's why it's important for you to do this exercise for yourself, because it's so easy for us to go online, to walk into a friend's house, our office, and see someone getting a promotion or whatever it is and think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to want. And we don't even realize that it's a what I'm supposed to want thing. We actually think, oh, that's what I want too, without stopping to think but is that how I want to feel? Because great, the promotion at work could look really freaking awesome, or that client could look really cool on the resume, but you might hate your life for the next 6 months, year plus. And so is that worth it? And so some of the feeling state desires that are priority to me are feeling a sense of freedom. Again, this connects back to my need for rest. If I don't feel a sense of freedom or spaciousness in my days, I start to feel like I'm drowning. My nervous system starts to just go haywire. So this is not even an option for me. It's not a nice to have. It is the only way that I can be successful and get to the outcomes I want on a long-term basis. So feeling freedom, feeling spaciousness, so important. Feeling present with my loved ones, deeply important. I actually, I would love to make $250,000 this year. I think this would just be it would be life-changing, and it would be so amazing, not just from a having the money in the account perspective, but from showing myself what I can do, because Hannah of a year and a half ago would have never even considered that it was a possibility that she could be bringing in that kind of revenue into her business. But now it seems so much more possible. Imagine when I hit that goal, what is going to feel possible after that, and how my nervous system is going to learn to responsibly hold that kind of money. There's so much interconnected on what reaching that goal could be. But I will tell you right now, I have absolutely no desire to hit that financial goal if I am going to feel the way that I have felt the past few months, which is not present at all, but hyper aware that I'm not present, which is even more awful. Disconnected from my partner, disconnected from my work, quite frankly, and completely overwhelmed every time I looked at my calendar, because it was just shit all over the place all the time, and also constantly feeling like I could not meet my responsibilities, and that I was like constantly prioritizing and reprioritizing the to-do list, and the to-do list was never ending. And it was just like every night I could work all night and still not feel like it was done. And for me, it's so important for me to be able to, like, at the end of the day, yes, of course, there'll always be more on the to-do list, but at the end of the day, being able to be like, okay, I can actually relax right now because there's nothing on fire that has to get done for tomorrow, or there's nothing that I'm actually putting off because I have to just sit down on the couch right now. But the whole time I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, feel really shitty that I'm not meeting an expectation that I need to meet. And so I would, like I said, love to meet my financial goal this year, but I will not be doing it by sacrificing freedom and presence. Because if those two things are not also part of my success, then my success is not sustainable. And I have no interest in unsustainable success. Like, we have been conditioned in this society that we are in that really overemphasizes masculine driven success, that hustling and doing more and all of that is the only way that you're going to reach true success. And don't get me wrong, hard work, very important. I am not saying we are just going to lay in a meadow here and hope for the best. No, hard work is important, but it is not the only way that we reach success. And in fact, if we are not understanding what success feels like in our bodies, what it feels good about success, then what's the point, right? The other thing for me, it's like, how do I feel successful? It's, for me, spreading the frequency of my voice. So again, that's going to help me prioritize what I'm spending my time on, because I can get distracted by every freaking thing out there. Like, I can be so, everything's important. Everything's a priority. I need to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And then I go online and I add another 6 things to the list. But it's like, no, what is going to get me to my feeling state desire? Which, when you think about the laws of divine feminine energy, when we are in that flow state, that feeling state desire, when we are in trust and creativity and receptivity, we actually attract more of what we want. Like, it's actually, so the more, like, even though my brain is telling me hustle, 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 that's the only way that you're going to meet this financial goal this year. In fact, my divine feminine energy tells me the exact opposite, that the more joy and freedom and spaciousness and pleasure that I have in my life, which are all feeling states that I really, really enjoy, the more likely that I am going to hit that goal. And that is actually such a major priority for me this year, like huge priority. And it will continue to be such a massive part of the work that I do with clients, because as female leaders, we are unlearning all of the ways that we have been taught that we obtain success. Because I know from the hundreds of conversations that I've had about this, women are not feeling successful. On paper, it may check all of the boxes, but we have been conditioned to be in such an overabundance of our masculine in order to reach the markers of success that society have set up for us to want, that I bet if I polled 100 women out there, if they actually are enjoying their success, majority of them would say no, because we have learned that success can only be achieved in a certain way, that success can only look a certain way for it to really be valid. And when we start with the feeling state of success, start with how do I want to feel when I'm successful, we will see the magic that the divine feminine has to magnetize towards us the things that we actually want, but from a place of alignment, from a place of enjoyment, not this like pressure, burnout, like, great, I've got $250,000 in the bank account, but I want to fucking collapse right now and I have no idea how I'm going to do this again next year and I'm totally dreading it. Like, that's not it. That's just not it. We do not want that, and we don't have to do it this way. So when we chase outcomes alone and not the feeling state that we want to feel, this is why we are often left feeling stuck or dissatisfied, because you're probably looking at your list thinking, well, I actually achieved a number of the things I set out to achieve this year or this month or whatever it is, but I don't fucking like it. And so then, even though we're winning, we're not feeling good. And then that sets us on a whole other spiral of like, why can't I be happy with the things I'm achieving? Because I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, I look back and I'm like, holy shit, a lot of the stuff I put out into the universe this year has come back to me. This is incredible. We have this incredible ability when we are connected with our divine feminine side of ourselves to call in fucking crazy things that we can't even imagine that this would come into my life. And it does, it will. But we don't want to be looking back on our lists and think, but I don't feel good. I fucking hate this. And then you're starting to feel anxious because you're like, why am I not satisfied with this? Well, you're likely not satisfied with it because you didn't actually pause and think like, how do I want to feel when this success comes in? And then set up your day, your weeks with that in mind. And the way that we actually uncover these feeling-based desires beneath our goals is by looking at the times where we actually felt really good in business. And I've done this over and over again when I've looked back on clients that I've worked with, projects that I've worked on. And especially when I was an event producer, I would look at these like flashy projects where I was working with high profile people that like was exciting to name drop that I was working with them, and I was getting flown to these different places to work on these massive projects. They were my least favorite things that I worked on. I felt the most anxious, overwhelmed, disconnected when I was working on those things versus when I might work on a project that is not as sexy, that is not as star-studded, but I'm working with a group of people who deeply appreciate and see me and value me. And I'm feeling really connected to the people that I'm working with and the thing that I'm working on. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I thought that project A would be much more satisfying, but actually project B was. And it was not the thing that I thought I was chasing. And so reflecting back on moments in your business, in your work, in your career, where you have actually felt really good, felt really valued, felt really present, felt really in your creative flow, where people are really listening to your ideas and you're moving the needle forward and you're feeling connected to what you're doing, and that there's space and time left for you outside of work. Reflecting back on those times and noticing what was it? What was the special sauce that made that? Was it the people that you were working with? Was it the type of work that you were working on? That might surprise you. Was it the way that you were being recognized? Like really reflecting on those moments and trying to clear away what you should have liked, what you should have enjoyed, the way you should have been doing it. Well, like, okay, yeah, you prefer to do it this way, but like, that's not the way you should be running your business. And therefore it's not right. Or like, no, fuck that. Fuck what is right or wrong and what other people are doing. So looking back and reflecting on, okay, when were moments where like this felt really good and that I had the space and time left for myself to keep moving the needle forward or not. Uncovering what if you have set like 3 goals for yourself this year, how would you actually want to feel on the journey to meeting those goals? Because that really, really, really matters. And that reframe of feeling successful rather than what do you need to get to be successful, because it has happened to me and I've seen it happen to others, it will attract the outcomes that align with that energy, which are the outcomes that you would prefer. Because when the outcomes align with the energy, the feeling state that you really want, it is pretty much guaranteed that they are going to feel more fulfilling. So I highly, highly recommend that you take a moment to write how I want to feel when I'm successful list, because I will take a guess, because this is what happened to me, that when I wrote that list, I actually realized in the time that I wrote that list that I had hit more of my feeling state desires for success than I had realized. I had freedom in my schedule. I was feeling present with my loved ones. I had spaciousness in my calendar. It felt really good. Like I said, sometimes we can go off track, but what's great about writing a list like this is that you can then come back to it over and over again as you are reflecting, as you are making decisions about your next steps in life, and say, well, does this align with the feeling state that I want? If freedom is of utmost importance to you and you have an option in front of you that will remove 50% of your freedom, is that going to feel successful for you? Probably not. So writing that list and then coming back to it often when you are making decisions about your business, about your career, about what's next for you as a leader is going to be extremely, extremely important. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for being the gorgeous, divine feminine being that you already are, and for trusting your inner nudge to keep journeying through. There are new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time. Are you still stuck in the cycle of overdrive and feeling anxious even after trying things like meditating, journaling, maybe even resting? These tools only work at the level of the mind and can't create the safety your body is craving when your nervous system is dysregulated. That's where the somatic return journey comes in. A free 5-day audio experience designed to help high-achieving women like you finally regulate your nervous system, awaken your divine feminine energy, and reconnect with the part of you that leads with flow and not force, no matter what's happening around you. In less than 15 minutes a day, you'll feel more grounded, empowered, and emotionally agile by this time next week. Head to the link in the show notes to get started.